Welcome back to the W number. Tonight, we're going to have an exclusive live right here in my living room just for you guys because I love you so much. It's Christmas. As you can see, got the Christmas tree. I know I got a few people in the house already. There's got to be more than one, but either way, we're just getting started, bro. It's going to be fire, dude. It's going to be a great night. I made a little list of some of the things that we need violence for. Unfortunately, this is not the message that I'm promoting. It's not like I'm saying, oh, we need violence, go out and kill your neighbor because that's what you should be doing. I'm saying that we need violence. Violence is necessary within the walls of prison because it is not an environment conducive. Unfortunately, society has norms in certain places, certain civilizations, certain particular aspects of society are have norms. And unfortunately, within the walls of prison, the norm is violence. That is the one way that you answer, control, and manipulate. Really, you get what you need through violence. But there's a more exclusive list that I'm going to get to in a minute. I'm going to wait for more people to show up. Let me know how you're doing tonight in the chat. I appreciate everybody for showing up. You know this is going to be a fire live. Anytime there's violence involved, everybody loves it, right? Thank you. Let me just say real quick, Steve. Thank you for renewing your membership, bro. That means a lot to me. Every one of my channel members gets exclusive perks. Number one being the access to the inner circle posts that I do every single day. Those posts are live, bro. I've been starting to do content tips, so like creating content, like creating irresistible hooks and just ways to live your life in an inspirational, motivational, and just caring, kind way. So there's all different types of things I put on there on a daily basis. So make sure you go check those out. Let me get my computer started over here real quick. So like I said, I'm doing a oh shit. I'm doing a live tonight on the necessity for violence within the prison system. And like I said, unfortunately, this is gonna be one of them things where thank you, hey, what's up? This is gonna be one of them lives where it's like, yeah, no, this is not what I'm promoting. This is not the message that my channel has, is oh yeah, go hurt people, but it is necessary. So without further ado, I'm going to get right to it because I already had a fire video that I put out earlier. Oh, let me say real quick, dude, shout out to Jeff Murray. He's in the hospital right now with his newborn child. And, the celebration of life, it's just an awesome feeling. I'm sure that he's already watched the video. He loves it. All the comments that you guys have left for him, basically just giving him hope and letting him know that you're there and you're watching. That means a lot to him. It means a lot to me. So I appreciate that a lot. And again, man, don't be afraid to drop a comment. Hope everybody's doing good tonight, by the way. So real quick, right? Number one, to prevent retaliation. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because that is a big one, right? Mr. Freedom, what's up, bro? Yep, everybody understands violence, right? It's a universal language. Why don't we start with that real quick before I even get to my list? Anything you guys put up is obviously just as important as anything because I'm just a man just like you. Everybody who watches my channel pretty much has probably been in prison, and just as well as I do the reasons why you use violence and the reasons why you can't just overuse it as well. Like, so overusing violence is also, it's not good either. You know what I mean? Like, you can overdo it where everybody around you just doesn't, they just don't know what to expect. Or so like they're always afraid of you. And number one, that's how you get told on. And number two, you won't have any friends like that, bro. Maybe people will be afraid of you. Maybe people will say some shit to you. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Salute. That's my first one of the night. First one of the night, bro. Ancient universal methods. Fact, bro. I mean, since the beginning of time, and now I got a lot of the things, like I looked up the need for violence. Why is violence necessary? Ask Google why violence is necessary. It's gonna tell you that violence is not it shouldn't be a go-to method. It's technically not necessary, but society has norms, right? So for since the beginning of time, people have been using violence to combat suppression or oppression of people, or just rebellion against oppression. That's one of the things that I actually wrote down is rebellion against oppression. And unfortunately, if there is an authority treating you with such oppression in such an undignified way of living, if they're forcing you into a way of life that's so undignified, they force you to defend your basically the little freedoms that you do have. Now, out here, it would be defending your absolute freedom, your freedom of speech, your freedom to walk around and do whatever you feel like, whenever you feel like it, because that's what you feel like doing, right? But in there, you only get a limited amount of freedoms. And in order to maintain those limited amount of freedoms, say when it all started, when they took cigarettes away, right? For instance, when they took cigarettes away, people didn't really put up a great fight for that, and they lost cigarettes. And now, had they drawn blood every single day for until they gave them back, I guarantee you they would have gave them back. Let me give you one story to start this off with. One instance where violence was used in a massive way and it worked like a charm, right? And this is one of those things that when oppression hits, you have to use violence. So in H2, let me take a sip of my coffee first. So in H2, right? Also hit the like button for me, will you? If you can, whenever you get a chance on your way out, on your way in, hit the like button for me on every video. That should be your knock on the door, bang, right? So in H2 back in 2010, we hadn't been able to get our TVs in the orientation units in the max since I got there. When you hit the facility, you go to an orientation unit and immediately they take your TV, right? You don't get that shit until you go to a normal block. And when you get to your quaid-in block, where mine was N2, P2, G2, which was the feed-in blocks, it was the aggressive blocks where they kept you on your unit almost 90% of the day, unless you were going to the yard, the gym, the library, or the chapel. You would be on your unit. You ate on your unit 3 meals a day. You didn't leave your unit to eat, right? That was my quay. So when I got there, that's when I was able to even order a TV. You're not even able to order a TV on the orientation units unless you are a runner or you're a PC. I mean, there's only two things I could think of, right? Never really seen anybody, or if you have a grandfather TV. So like some people sneak TVs in and they'll have them in their stuff and somehow, some way get it through, but it's very rare and you're not supposed to have it. And if they find it, they'll take it. So back in 2010, people had enough, right? They had moved Walpole over into the max, double bunked everybody. So they were squishing a large amount of people into a space that was only meant to fit 64 people, but it ended up holding over 70 in each one. Steve, what's going on? Real quick, let me say something to Steve. Steve, I'm starting to edit that interview we did tonight. Well, maybe not tonight, but I got it I put it on Dropbox and I downloaded it onto my computer tonight. So I got that shit in the works. It's about 20 minutes long. It's not very long, but it's going to be a segment. So keep an eye out for that. Everybody, Steve's interview about childhood violence, growing up in a home with severe trauma. And then the second part's going to be coming soon. But everybody, make sure you go check out Jeff's video that I put up today. Great interview all the way through, all the way, right? So everybody was sick of not having their TVs. They come in, they'd be squished in with a bunch of people. Aggression was running high. There was tons of fights. People drank and used drugs in order to dull that sense of boredom and like over sprouting, I should say, like, just being treated badly. They're not supposed to treat people like that. You don't go to yard, you don't go to gym, you don't even go to chapel, you don't go to library, you don't go out of your unit ever at all unless you're a runner, right? So for them to not give you a TV or an outlet to have while you're in your cell, especially on lockdowns, because there's fights every other day. So every other day we come out, we get locked in for 2 days. Come out, get locked in for 2 more days. Word, thank you, Ma. Thank you. So far, we got two super chats and a member. Oh man, like this is much needed tonight, man, for real. Um, so people, they in general were very frustrated with the situation, right? You want to get off of the orientation unit, but people had problems with gangs. They had stayaways, people like they couldn't just get them off of there. In other words, right? They couldn't just say, "Oh, look, we're gonna get you out of here quick," right? They had to stay there. So they were forcing people to stay there for extra amounts of time and still not giving them any extra privileges even when they were forced to stay there like that, which I feel like is even wronger, right? They should give at least the people forced to stay there their privileges like they were in a regular unit, if that's the case. But they weren't even doing that. No concessions whatsoever. You get a smaller amount of canteen, so you only get $30 in canteen, whereas in the rest of the prison at the time, you could get $90. And the canteen was actually cheap enough where you could get a decent sized bag of food for $90. And that was good living. You know what I mean? But the only thing that you could do was drink and take drugs. And what do you think that does? Fighting, arguing, assaults on cops, cops assaulting us, right? Friction, 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 friction. But you think, what do you think the administration does? They like it, right? Because what do they get to do? They get to get on a podium and say, "Look, they're animals. We need funding. We need more COs. We need more funding. We need to pay our COs more money. Give us money." And they get it because why? They cause the problem, and then they benefit from the problem they cause. It's a revolving door. It's a cycle, and they do it over and over and over again. And they know exactly what they're doing, and they continue to do the same thing, right? But guys were like, "Fuck that," right? So one night they said, "Nah, we're not locking in." And you had a big crowd of people up at the desk. So everybody's up at the desk. You had people hiding in the showers. You had people hiding in every shower, not just like one or two, but every single shower had one or two or three people hiding in it. Everybody had masks over their face, so they would take their t-shirt like this. Look it, I'm going to show you how to tie it up over your face, right? They would take their t-shirt like this, put it over their face like that, so that only your eyes could be seen out of it. And they would take the sleeves like this and tie it around the back of their head like that, so that you could be out on the unit and they couldn't tell who you are. So you could do anything you wanted as long as your tattoos were covered. You're basically masked up. Now, how are they going to tell if you're the dude who smashed the CO first, right? So I'm going to say the dude who did smash the CO first because he beat his case for a reason I'm going to tell you, right? So this dude, now the IPs come in, they come in with the shields, the gas, they're squad up and they're trying to negotiate. They're like, "Look, at everybody, please lock in yourself." On a night like this night, everybody was out. It was the bottom tier. Now they used to do the bottom tier and then the top tier. And this is why they started splitting the tier in half, which is the right side, which is the low side and the high side, because the bottom tier was stacked. That's where all the double bunks were. So the bottom tier's out and then you got the runners out, which is a quarter of the top tier, and then some people are still sneaking out from the top tier to be out on the rec downstairs. So you got a lot of people out, right? Ooh, W number popping. We're gonna put that up on the big screen. Anybody drops a W number, you're going up on the big screen. So they got a massive amount of people out, right? You got the biggest dudes up on the front lines, the guys that really are not afraid. They want to put that work in. They've been gassing the situation, on the block for a minute because they're tired of people taking shorts. You got to amp your convicts up. Sometimes guys are like, "Nah, we'll just wait, let it happen." They'll do it. They'll change their mind. They'll fix it. And they think, we'll write grievances, whatever. It doesn't work. So they leave only one option, which is take the short, be severely frustrated and depressed, or you fight, right? So, dude, biggest dude on the block, his name's Easy, bro. Big blood dude, right? Steps up and he cracks. I think it was Cologne. No, it was Cruz. He cracks the IP. The captain of the IPs, Cruz, bro, breaks his jaw. Dude shits his pants in one shot. Knocks him out cold. Dude shits his pants. And it's a riot, bro. Now, I don't know exactly who hit what after that. It was a melee. Dudes charged the cops. The cops charged them. The cops ran off the block for a couple of seconds, squatted up, came back with mad gas and shields, right? riot squad helmets, the vests, everything. They come running in the block and they're trying to quell the riot, right? The next day, they finally get it under control, right? And I'm going to tell you the next day after, right? Let me tell you what happened. So they get it under control. You know what happens that night? That night, every single person on that unit who owned a TV and it was in their property, guess what they did? They got all those TVs, put them in a cart, brought them to the unit, didn't lug almost any of these dudes, right? Got them all still in their cells because this was not just one of those things where it's like, oh, half stepping. They were going at it, bro. And I'm going to tell you how I know this, right? So they pulled the TVs, they opened up the doors, they give every single person who owned a TV their TV that night without further delay, right? Okay. The next day, dude, right? They don't even get locked down like that. Like we didn't. The whole place was out. They were locked in for 2 days because of that, right? So the next day I come out for my meds. They used to do meds in the hallway. And you would line up out in front of their block because the med window was in front of H2 because I was in G2 at the time. Me, Kevin Kelly, Benny Michaud, Matty Tolley, Big Show. God rest his soul. He's passed away. A lot of the people that I know are gone now. But great, great people. We were all outside there. We were all out there waiting for our meds. So I get to come around the corner because we lined up. You come out of our unit and it's like a little L shape and there's a hallway with no camera in it. In that little hallway and in the hallway going up to the unit and on the unit and all the way down the main hallway, there was pools of blood, big pools of sticky, gooey red blood, like huge pools, bro, bigger than I couldn't reach my arms out and touch down like that and touch either side of it. They're huge pools of blood. I have no idea how they could get like that, or like if it was one person bleeding like that, like all like in each spot, like how someone could bleed that much blood, I have no idea. But they were all over the unit, big gooey piles of blood everywhere, bro. This was a bad one. And from what I hear is that there was guys locking themselves, like pulling the shower doors shut because everybody was going so crazy on the unit that they were like, whoa, we didn't think it was going to get like this, And there were certain guys that were going home. They didn't want to get more time on their sentence. But let me tell you what happened to the guys who actually put in. And this is one of those things where I say, God favors the brave and fortune favors the brave, right? Every person who laid hands on somebody, a CO, that night, beat their case. Easy, who knocked out the captain of the Yips, had been filing grievances saying that Cruz, the captain of the Yips, was harassing him. And he was harassing him in all different types of ways, running in his cell, lugging him to the hole, putting him in that orientation unit without his TV and all that shit. And that's one of the things that started this whole thing, is that they were lugging guys from regular units with TVs who were doing time, not new people coming into the facility who didn't have TVs and didn't need them. In other words, they didn't give a fuck, right? But even them, they could have benefited off their celly having a TV. So, he that's one of the reasons. But he beat his case because he had been filing grievances saying he was harassing them. They didn't do anything about it. So when he did something about it, they were like, look, we can't even charge him for this because he's been filing grievances for months now on this one dude. And that's the guy he got into a fight with. They would be wrong, in other words. But this is one of the things that people use violence for, right? Now I made a list, right? 5 or 6 things. 6 things. I didn't put any explanation because I have it right here, dude, right? The number one thing on my list is to prevent retaliation, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. In order to prevent violence in the future, right? In order to prevent further violence against yourself or against your people or the convicts in general, is to be extremely violent when you are dealt a bad hand. So if something happens and you react to it with extreme violence, that same thing that happened next time would be a lot less likely to happen. And let me give you an example of what happens when you don't do this or you can't do this, right? So COs in the DDU, right? The COs that go work in DDU every single day, for years. They developed this sense of cockiness. They can do whatever the fuck they want because they know they can never be touched like that unless you fight the move team. So for a long period of time before they moved Walpole to Shirley Max, they had the guys, like the real hitters in Walpole, right? And if you listen to my other interviews, John tell you, anybody will tell you that been in Walpole, that's where they had the real G's, bro. That's where like the dudes, if those cops go over to DDU and do something to one of those dudes over there, and then they're walking down the main building and one of those dudes sees them, they're gonna get fucking smashed, right? Because they did some dirty shit to one of the people in the DDU, and one of their boys rode out to population and said, "Look, bro, this dude's out here pulling dirty scumbag moves. We can't let this happen, right?" And in order to prevent it from happening, they would do that. And it was one of the reasons why violence is necessary. You know what happens now that they can't? People are getting murdered in DDU by the COs. I myself had plastic surgery on my face right here. You see that scar? There's a scar on my face right here. And I think I put the picture on a thumbnail before and they took it off because it's too gory. I have these pictures. Matter of fact, I'll show you. I'll show you the pictures right now. I'll look for it while I talk. But they held me down, right? While I was fighting the move team. And yeah, I fought the move team because they did dirty shit. They took all the shit out of my cell and they were doing it to everybody on the tier. And I told these guys, I said, look it, man, if you keep on allowing it to happen, then they're gonna do it to me one day. And I'm gonna be really fucking mad that nobody did anything about it until that point. If you are willing to fight for yourself and fight for the situation, I will fight with you. And we could all stick together. And by doing that, we prevent them from oppressing us and taking away those little niceties and respect that we did get. Because even respect, something so basic as respect, is not given unless taken in prison. You have to be violent in order to get respect in prison. Unfortunately, like I said, whoa. Ruth Ann Ebbs, if you're watching this and you just did that, I appreciate that. Wow, someone just sent me a Cash App. I appreciate that. Ruth Ann Ebbs. And that's one of the things like I put up on here. Like if you send me a Cash App that's going up, I'm gonna shout you out live, and I intend to do so. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put that up on the ticket right now. So yeah, even respect, something so simple as respect. Oh, that's you, Mr. Freedom. Thank you, brother. For real, bro. Thank you. That's what's up, bro. Appreciate that, bro. Hell yeah. Because I guarantee you, Mr. Freedom sending me this because he did mad time in prison and he knows, dude, even these little things like respect and dignity, like being strip searched and they some cops, they'll tell you like take your fingers and pull your butt cheeks apart, and then after you do that they'll say stick your fingers in your mouth and go like this, right? Merry Christmas, y'all. Maddie Sexy Slave Girl says Merry Christmas, y'all. Merry Christmas to everybody, for real. So even these little things, bro, you need to take them. You cannot just get anything. Nothing's free in prison, bro. You must pay for it with blood, bro. And unfortunately, this is true. This is not me getting up here and rambling, because as you know, I am a Christian, bro. I believe in God, bro. I don't believe in unnecessary violence. Even though at one time in my life I did partake in that shit. And that's one of the things I said on the thumbnail is that yeah, exactly. Um, yep, exactly, bro. Exactly. You got to carve your space out. You got to make sure people know they cannot do that to you, because if they don't know, they will do that to you. They will do. You give someone an inch, a little fucking bit of rope, they will hang you with that, right? But if you take it back, they can't do nothing about it. They will not do anything about it. You cannot allow them to push without pushing back, because then they get momentum and they will roll you over. And they do it because it's instinctive within every human to push and manipulate and gain power. Power is one of those things that it's almost evil inherently, right? If you give somebody unchecked power and you do not restrain that power in any way, they have no oversight other than the governor, right? And the governor will say, look it, um, exactly. People understand consequences and they fear violence. They understand the consequences if they fear that consequence. If the consequence is not bad enough, people don't care. Like, if you pluck a hair out of someone's head as a consequence, wow, who cares? It's a little pluck. But if you break their teeth out of their mouth and they have to go sip, their juice through a straw for the rest of the month, then they're gonna be like, well, next time I'm probably not gonna do that because unfortunately I have to do that to you in order for you to understand and stop doing that. Because if the government doesn't stop you, nobody else is stopping you. They're going to keep on doing to you and doing to you and doing to you until you stop them and give them something to stop for. And that's just an unfortunate truth. And like I said, power is one of those things. Like, people, they abuse it. They abuse power. It is unfortunately it's human nature to do so, and they've done studies about it in Sweden where they've made students CEOs and other students the inmates in like a it's a game, right? It's not a game, but it's an experiment. And after 10 days, the character of those students changed so much so that the people who are inmates in there started to band together and push back against it. That's human nature as well. You will press somebody and they will push back unless they are too weak to do so. And if that's the case, it's almost like the people who are in power and are dominant over you are going to maintain that dominance without even meaning to do so. It's like a bully. They bully you so long they can't stop bullying you, because if not, then they'll know that you took your foot off the lion's neck. Now they're afraid. A bully gets afraid like real easy. If you stand up for yourself, that's why they say stand up to bullies. And that's one of those things. That is part of violence being necessary. Is you standing up to a bully, that's violence right there. You're telling your child to stand up to a bully. Well, guess what? Society, the COs are bullies. If you don't restrict them or check them, they will push and push and push until you snap, kill yourself, or kill another convict or hurt somebody else. And what's the point of fighting against each other when they're causing this shit, right? That's what we always tell ourselves in there too. Like, why are we fighting against each other when we should be fighting against them? But because the government protects them so heavily, you can't do anything to them without catching more time. And unfortunately, that's something that nobody's really willing to do anymore. I mean, they've made the conditions so bad, but the oppression's still so strong that they don't care. Like, they're just going to keep on doing it and doing it. So unfortunately, that's one of the aspects, and that's why it's necessary, right? Number two, the second reason why violence is so necessary is self-defense. And I'm sure anybody could have figured that, right? But violence is necessary because of self-defense, right? You need to defend yourself, or else you're going to get hurt. In a violent situation, self-defense is 100% necessary, right? Even on the streets, self-defense is necessary. That's why they teach karate in self-defense classes, because self-defense is one of the main necessities for violence. And in prison, unfortunately, you're going to be put in many, many situations where self-defense is just one of those things. You're going to need to defend yourself. And if you don't defend yourself, you're going to get hurt worse. It's like with Paul Driscoll, when I was beating up Paul Driscoll or many other people. I mean, I don't fight people who don't fight back. Typically, don't fight people who don't fight back. But he was just one of those people that didn't fight back, but I was already engaged in a one-on-one combat with him, and I wasn't stopping because of the things that he had done prior to that. But he didn't defend himself. But if he did, it would have minimized the damage I caused to him, because if he spent his whole time screaming and going instead of putting his hands up and throwing punches. You can't get hit while you're getting hit, right? It's a theory in boxing, I think, right? All right. So number three, rebellion against oppression. And that's what we've been talking about this whole time. So there's no need to really elaborate on that. So that goes without saying. That's in every single aspect here is rebellion against oppression. This is the oppression, and this is what we are rebelling against. And violence, unfortunately, tends to be the only way that you can react. And that's because they take when you file a grievance, right? The person who answers the grievance is a grievance coordinator who is also a CO and has been a CO for a long time. So you really don't have that option. When you go to talk to the superintendent, I'm gonna get to people in the chat in like 2 seconds. My fault. I just don't want to lose my train of thought. But when you go to talk to the administration, you'll be like, oh, look at this dude's there. Whose side do you think they're on? You think they give a fuck about you? No. The only way they're gonna give a fuck is if you make them give a fuck. And I've seen people make them give a fuck before, and they do. They care a lot. When people's safety is in danger, they're gonna listen to you. You're gonna see their ears perk up. You're gonna see them looking in your eyes, paying attention what you got to say with respect. And it's because they respect the fact that you're willing to go that extra mile in order to get your respect. Because they know they don't respect you unless you do. Even they know that, right? Thank you. Fact. Everybody, please hit the like button. Let me get to this. Let me get to this chat real quick. Um, Monsters are real for sure. For sure. The weak and weak-minded will always abuse power. Exactly, Steve, bro. Exactly. And that's what they say is like, and this is right here. Someone said it, Mr. Freedom said, sometimes it's up to real men to take control and show the way, right? And this has been a saying since the days Western times, right? Is that you need scary men in the world to stop the scary men in the world from hurting you, right? And that or dangerous men. You need dangerous men in order to stop dangerous men from hurting you. And that's a fact. What do you think they have the Marines for? What do you think they have the Navy SEALs for? It's to stop the dangerous people from hurting you. And therefore, violence right there in that sense is necessary. And it's no different inside a prison where they take away every little bit of freedom and then try to strip you of your humanity on top of it. And it is your natural reaction and to stop somebody from taking that little bit that you have left. In order for you to stay sane, you cannot let it happen. And that's one of the things that society doesn't take into account is that we still are human beings. And if you take that little shred of humanity we have left, it therefore takes something from us that we might never get back. And I've seen people break inside of there, and it is not fucking pretty. They never are the same. They're meek, they're shy, they're weird, they change inside. Like in here, everything changes about them, and it's like, whoa, I feel bad for that guy. Okay, so I'm not gonna have anybody sit around and talk about me like I feel bad for him. No, I'd rather be doing more time in prison than have everybody sit around and talk about me while inside I'm also suffering because I know I am no longer the man I was. And unfortunately, that's another aspect to it is that you have things inside of you as a man that still hold you together piece by piece. And if you let them things get knocked down, sometimes you can't build them back up. If you don't have the right people around you to help you build yourself back up, you can't. And we lose that section of society going to prison. We come out and we got to build it up for each other. That's one of the reasons why I do this channel is so that we can build each other back up. Someone said to me earlier, look at all these dudes who get out of prison, right? All the guys, we got a whole crew of good dudes, bro. All these solid white dudes that were in there, bro, right? All of us together, never thought any of us would do anything with our fucking life ever, are all out here now able to come on my podcast and tell their story to the fucking world about how they're out here smashing life, dude. Right? They tried to take our life away. They tried to take our dignity, our manhood. They tried to take our pride. They tried to break our spirit, but we fought back. Violence and there's violence in spiritual violence. There's emotional violence. There's physical violence. All those things are aspects of violence, and yeah, we use them. We use them to come back. We use them to fucking take our shit back, but we use it to keep ourselves together. And that's one of the reasons why we're out here today doing good, is because we did fight back. We used our violence in the ways that were necessary while we were in there and needed to use it. And good for everybody who did, bro. I salute you for not letting yourself become a weak, shy, shameful person, bro. Fact. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Justin Kickless. Oh, Justin Kickless, what's up, bro? Grew up with that dude. Hell yeah. Have to live an honorable life. Taking a short can take a toll on a warrior's heart, and it can, bro. It really, truly can, bro. 100% fact. And sometimes it never goes away. And you can't even, like, how do you look yourself in the mirror? You know what I mean? You have to be able to wake up every single day as a man and look yourself in the mirror, for sure. And that's an essential fact of life. Yeah, bro. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that, bro. Sometimes, and that's the thing about social media. I feel like nowadays is that people are so lost on this internet, bro, right? They have no longer the sense to realize or recognize when somebody's actually talking real shit anymore, because they're so flooded and bogged down with frauds that they have lost sense of reality, dude. Either that or they never had it in the first place. They've never really been through it like that. And maybe they're not a coward, but they're not a real dude like that, bro. They don't have the understanding, the kindness of heart, bro, the warrior spirit, bro. They don't have a connection to their spirituality or a way to connect to others on a different level, bro. And that's what we have right here, because we've been through the grind, bro. We sat in disciplinary detention units for years and years at a time, bro. We use this right here to survive, bro. This right here to survive, bro. And yeah, I blocked a million punches with my face. They didn't hit me one time. You know what I mean? So I'm like a karate kid, dude. Oh man. Dude, sometimes they say that we are our last of a dying breed, but I believe that that is not the truth, bro. There is a, every single generation, every single child who's born still has the capabilities within them, right? To be that person, to have that heart. And it's just they don't have the right guidance. I feel like we have lost our ability to hand down to the next generation, even inside a prison where you used to have the old school convicts. They used to, school the younger convicts on how to do their bid and do it right, with prison etiquette, not flushing the toilet in the hole after midnight or after 11 o'clock, not talking before 9 in the morning, let people sleep, let people read their books. You know what I mean? Like, just being polite and respectful, because if not, you get your fucking shit split, right? They don't have that anymore. It's more of a like free for all almost, right? Like, yeah, it's dangerous in there right now, more dangerous than ever, bro, because people don't have that respect. They don't have that prison etiquette. And it's not as, I would say, disciplined or regulated as it was before. Like, we were the regulators of ourselves, bro. Like, we go on a block and immediately, there was that one dude on that unit, bro, right? That was so serious. Everybody around him acted right. And they would listen to that dude, bro, right? Come here, Acorn. Want to meet Acorn? This is Acorn, my little kitty. Yeah, they would listen to that dude, bro, right? And pay attention to him, because they knew that's their survival right there. That dude can keep them alive. Not only that, but he shows them how to be that dude for somebody else, the next generation coming in. And that every single generation, people would come in and they would learn these things. And prison would maintain the level of respectability that it's always had. And that's why doing time today is no longer respectable. You could go in there and get into a fight with some fucking young, lame dumbass who wants to fight you over a phone. You never even seen him before, right? Some young kid who's never did time, doesn't even respect you for all the time and all the work you put in, because everybody else knows to do that, but this dumbass, because no one told him how to be. No one told him how to move, and therefore he gets his head crushed right there on the tier because his older boys didn't look out for him, bro. And that's another fucking dumbass thing that people do now, is they don't teach their young ones how to move and they get hurt. And then whose fault is it? It's their fault, bro. When my boys come in, when a new white dude comes in, I'll immediately grab them and be like, look, here's some toothpaste, here's a toothbrush, here's some soap, here's some shampoo, here's some food. And come see me when you come out for rec. I'm gonna show you, like what we do out here. And you stay like this and like this, right? Keep your mouth shut and your ears open, bro. That's all you need to do for a little while, right? Don't be too quiet. Talk to people. Let them know what you're there for. Don't be a weirdo. Don't hide in your cell all day. Be the man you know you are. But listen, take advice, bro, because it could save your life. Not only that, but it could just give you that level of respectability. Because I don't respect these young motherfuckers that don't have any respect for anybody else. Why would I? Right? They need to get smacked a few times, bro. And you can tell the people that need to get hurt, right? Right? Can't you? Like those young dudes who can't shut the fuck up, and you're like, dude, you need to get your ass kicked a couple times, dude. Maybe 3 or 4, but one good time at least, right? So let me get to number 4, right? And this is a big one. Because it is normalized in certain societies. Tell me that because when you go into prison, even the COs expect you to be violent in certain situations. It is expected of you from your peers, from the COs, from the administration. They don't push on you thinking nothing's going to happen back. They push on you expecting it to happen back. And when it doesn't, they push harder because they know they can. They push on you expecting something to happen. And when it doesn't, they push harder. Let me say that again. When they push on you, they expect you to be violent because they want you to, really. But when you are not and you don't respond adequately, they will continue to push because they know they fucking can. So when they do some dirty shit, fight back. They're expecting it anyways, bro. And you shouldn't have to, but they expect it. And it's because it's normalized, right? Your peers expect you to put in work, right? Your peers expect you to take out your enemies when you see them. Your peers expect you to take all the Skinners and the rats off the block. Your peers have a certain structural of society set up already, right? You're the new dude. So the first time something needs to happen, guess who's doing it? You. So now your introduction to prison is now violence. You're probably going to be getting into something that's pretty soon after you get in there, and it's to make your bones, let people know that you are willing to do so, or because it's necessary and people need to, this dude needs to go. And now that is now expected from you from there forward. Like the way you act and how quickly you respond, how you react is now the expected norm, right? So that's one of the reasons why I could not stop the cycle of violence in my life inside of there, is because I would react so fast and so violent that every single time something happened, it's like if I didn't, oh, now I'm soft. Just because I didn't do it exactly how I did it before, oh, I must be getting soft, or I'm not built like that anymore. And that sends blood out into the water. And now you got people sharking you and trying to push up on you or whatever, bro. So you have to continue to do the same fucking thing. You got to continue to act out, continue to keep consistent, which I guess is I look for the same thing. When I see somebody starting to get soft, I'm like, yo, this dude's a bitch, bro. He just let this dude do this, bro. But you see, he's talking all this before. He started smashing dudes. Now all of a sudden, he's not even fighting no more. Like, and you do, bro. I mean, and that is a norm. It's normalized, dude, so much so that you can't get out of it. And so, therefore, they've now created an entire society within society that is so violent, right? And it is expected to be violent. Like, it is normalized. There's no other way around it, bro. You're gonna be violent in prison. Yeah, you gotta be a convict and not an inmate. That's for sure. And we all know the difference between a convict and an inmate. Convict, and they live by the code, and an inmate lives by the law. Hell yeah, bro. When we used to get drunk, you would see every other convict in the whole place locking in their cell. Remember that? we would get drunk on the unit. They'd be like, "Oh, the white dudes are drunk." All the black dudes, the Spanish dudes, even the other white dudes would be locking in like, "Yeah, I'm good. Close 25, close 13." They didn't want no smoke. Let me find this picture of me all smashed up by the move team where I had the plastic surgery on my face. They took a move team helmet and smacked me twice in the face with it. My whole eye was hanging off. Right? I'm gonna show it to you. I have it right here. It's ugly, dude. But this is again, it's one of those the facts of life inside of prison is that I knew and I expected to be hurt when I got them in my cell and I fought them. I knew that the harder I went, the harder they'd go. But you know what that did? It didn't stop me. It made me go so hard so that the next time, even if they did get me at the end, the next time they come in and the next time they try to do that shit, they would think twice. It didn't matter how good they got me at the end when I was cuffed up and shackled, bro. They knew that if I was out of cuffs and they see me, it's gonna be a problem, bro. I ripped off 3 of their helmets, their chest plates, their freaking stab vests, all that shit. Dude. What's up, Jay? What's up, Bad Chad? Yeah, exactly. And that's yo, it's like they should not put short timers in a maximum security facility. Number one, you're putting their life at risk. Number two, you're putting their freedom at risk because now they're going to be put in situations where they either might get into a fight with a CO, they might have to stab another convict, and around and around and around we go, right? But it's definitely a general possibility that when a short timer gets in there, that they're going to be put in a situation where they can either die and never go home, and therefore their short term just turned into a life sentence. Right here, I got it. I got it, fellas. Oh, whoops. I put it on my other. Hold on. Whoops. Let me just take it off of this because I don't want to put it on my shit. Hold on. Let me get it all over again. Instagram post. Um, you don't want to be a short timer in the max either, dude. I've seen plenty of short timers come in there and then leave years and years later talking about, man, I came in here. Me. I went in with 2.5 years. And I left after 6 talking about, damn, man, a year after I'm about to go home again, I get into another fight with the CO in the hallway that I talked about the other night in my life. And I'm like, man, not again, dude. And that's one of the reasons why I was like, fuck it, I'll just get paid instead, you know? This is it right here, guys. That's me. My whole fucking they had at this point right here, they had already taken my eye and they took a uh one of those long ear swabs and they put it underneath my eyelid like this and they flipped it back up like that. And the dude takes some tape and goes and tapes it back up to my fucking thing with blood's gushing out of it and shit, right? My whole face was hanging off. And if you see up here in the corner, right here, that's a big chunk of my head missing. That's not my hair. That's a big square of skin missing right out of my fucking flesh. That was it, man. I'll put that. I want to put it up on my I'll put it up on my community post. Why not? All right, guys. Look, it's been a good night. If anybody wants to, oh, let me get to these. All right, I got a few more. Let me just get to these last ones. Right, the lack of alternatives, big one. Like I said, they give you the grievance procedure, right? But then they don't give you any approvals that mean anything, right? They can approve a grievance and still not give you anything for it, right? Like they're like, "Oh yeah, we approve your grievance. We'll give you your sneakers or whatever that you're supposed to get," and they don't give them to you, right? So therefore, it leaves you one avenue of solving your problem, dude, and it's violence, right? You can always file a lawsuit and go down that route where if you know you're going to get paid, you can wait that out, be patient, file those lawsuits. I did. You can look me up online. I filed lawsuits against the state for a botched surgery they did against my foot. Matter of fact, if you go into my playlist and you see Matthew Tottenham added video, there's a video in there that WGBH News did a documentary about me in filing lawsuits against the state for my foot. They botched my surgery on my foot. Matter of fact, I'll make my own video about it. It was disgusting because they don't have the whole thing. Like they only have a part of the story on that video. And I'll make another video about that, matter of fact, because that was huge. Everybody inside the prison seen that on TV and they were like, yo, Maddie's doing it, bro. Maddie's got something going on, bro. Yeah, that shit was cool as shit, right? Then number 6, the last one is to maintain order, right? The only way to keep the balance on the unit, the only way to make sure that motherfuckers stay in line and don't go out of control, maybe jump another race or unnecessarily cause heat to the block, stab this dude or whatever, if it's a good dude or something, like if they don't check the paperwork correctly or whatever the fucking situation is, or even if it's a CO and they're acting crazy and you have to take them out to maintain the order. And unfortunately, that's what it is, dude. You got to do it. And they put you in those situations, dude. And let me say before I wrap this up, right? Do not use unnecessary violence. Unnecessary violence is a lot of different types, bro. Let it be a last measure, last ditch option. You don't have to be violent, bro, all the time. Like if you overuse violence, then people stop taking it as serious. If you're only violent when you absolutely necessarily need to be, and people know which buttons they should not push, but leave a boundary, clear boundary. If you don't want it to be like that, don't let it be like that. If you want the respect if you want your level of respect to be at a certain level, which is something I held a high level, a standard for respect for myself, which is why I have such a big name in prison, is because I couldn't accept disrespect. Even the slightest little thing, it made me explode. But I felt like people knew to expect that, so they didn't do it. So when they did do it, it's like they know. So they know if they do it, they're doing it on purpose in order to provoke me, and they want it. They're trying to punk me off. So when it got to a certain point, they knew and they were trying to punk me off just by doing it. So I would react, yes. But don't use violence in any unnecessary ways, man. Violence, leave that shit from behind the wall. Out here, there's diplomatic ways to take care of things unless someone's threatening your family, dealing your kids, or gonna deal with whatever it is. And, protect your children, bro. Protect your children, protect your family, but leave the violence behind the wall. Salute to everybody doing time in prison right now. Christmas, I'm gonna give you a little view of my Christmas tree, bro. Look at that, dude. The Christmas lights. It's snowing outside too, guys. You see that? Snowing out there. Yeah, boy. It's Christmas for real, guys. But again, man, I appreciate everybody, bro. Make sure you hit the like button, share my videos, join my videos, bro, if you can. A super chat, super thanks, whatever you provide for my channel, much appreciated. If not, I love just hearing you in the chat, leaving comments, conversing back and forth with me during my lives. Make sure you go check out Jeff's interview that I dropped tonight. It's one of the best interviews I've done, bro. He's so well spoken. His stories are on fire, dude. That kid's a great kid. He's in the hospital right now with his newborn baby that he had this morning. So go over there, show him some love. Leave a comment for him. He's gonna look just for everybody, man. You guys are the best. The W numbers, the wave, bro. We're going up, and it's only because of God. None of this is possible without God, man. Salute to Jesus Christ, bro, for changing my life. He could change yours too. W number. Ow.